What's up, everyone? Anthony Gallegos here from IGN.com, along with Casey Lynch, our editor-in-chief. And we're here to break down and speculate on the recent Prometheus trailer, which is the prequel to Aliens. If you had any doubts whether it was an Alien prequel, this trailer should put that to rest. So Ridley Scott, bringing back the series that he started in 1979. Even right here, the way that the letters are scrolling across the screen is totally reminiscent of the way the letters appeared in Alien. So this is, I think, is the planet that's from the 1979 Aliens. That's my guess. This is LV-426 before things went to crap and everything died.
Now, that would be really interesting if that's the case, because from what I recall, LV-426 was completely barren, didn't have water, didn't have...
just dead rock.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was water in the form of rain in Aliens when the dropship landed. So, but I don't remember seeing what we're going to see later on, for instance, which looks almost like Niagara Falls or something. So obviously we're seeing more of it than what we've seen. Yeah,
so here's the first part that really, all of a sudden, conjures up some alien imagery. It's, obviously those aren't eggs, but they look like stone edifices carved to look like eggs, which is where I'd speculate that this is like some sort of temple that the humans stumble upon, where this is like supposed to look like an alien hive, and they know that humans are what they use to harvest aliens, basically. And so this is sort of like a religious edifice, kind of not quite deifying, but also giving some sort of special treatment to humans.
Right, and the arrangement of the eggs, or whatever we want to call them, is reminiscent of the first time that we saw the eggs in the subterranean area in the original Alien, which technically should be in the same spot. If this is indeed LV-426, when the Nostromo sent down their ship after the distress signal to check things out with John Hurt, so on and so forth, he came across several levels down underground this sort of catacomb filled with what was alien facehugger eggs. Now, this looks like the same arrangement. It also sort of harkens back to the imagery from Aliens when Ripley goes into the hive, the hive where the queen was, laying all the eggs with the gross tube and whatnot.
Yeah, my guess is that this is a temple, and the ship ends up crashing on the temple, which is why several layers down there are actually eggs, and it just actually gets opened up because of the ship that wrecks eventually.
There's a lot going on here, especially that giant face. Like, what do you make of that big face statue? Why is there human face in
That's what I'm saying. I think that they in the same way that some cultures revere certain animals that they eat and stuff, my guess is that the space jockeys, whom, if you're not aware who they are, they're the alien that you see in the original 1979 Alien, like fossilized into a chair. They've become known as space jockeys by fans, and my guess is that they somehow kind of like not quite worship because they use them for cattle basically, but they have like a reverence for humans. So this is kind of like, that's why they're also revering the face, because that's where aliens, basically incubate and come from.
Right.
So that right there is the second, this right here is the second bit of imagery that obviously conjures up aliens. But obviously it's not necessarily a facehugger, because a facehugger hit the mask and burned through it.
Right, this is something that's happening inside the mask. So it looks like something's been sprayed, some sort of acid, and it's actually coated the inside of the mask. And obviously we see smoke. And this is iconic from what we've seen, the acid in the the Alien canon. When an alien gets cut, or a xenomorph gets cut, it bleeds acid and it produces the same sort of burning smoke.
So right here is what me and Casey believe to be a space jockey skull. It looks pretty reminiscent to the weird fossilized one you see in the 1979 film, although the one in the 1979 film looked like it's like webbed to the chair and it's very kind of gross looking. It has that huge trunk coming off, which, whether you speculate whether that trunk is an air hose or whether it's supposed to be a mask reminiscent of a facehugger tail, which is...
Yeah, I mean, going back to your idea, if this race, the space jockeys, are deifying humans or in some way sort of recognizing them, this could be some sort of a artistic expression of a human face with something attached to its face, which could be the facehugger. Although this is just the head, we don't see the extension of the trunk, whatever it might be.
And then here is where I'm guessing they find the space jockey. I don't know. In the bottom middle of the screen, you'll see there's like something that obviously stands out from the rest of the environment there as they're scanning. To me, that's probably some sort of alien body is what we'll see. My guess is that when they find the temple and stuff, the aliens aren't there at all. I'm guessing that the space jockeys with their ship and everything will show up at some point and be like, what are humans doing here? And then, yeah, who knows what this is, right? This is I mean, if it was a dangerous material, why would you ever handle it with your bare hands, first of all? That's bad science.
Yeah, I have to agree. And then what's he pulling it out of? Is this something that is indigenous to LV-426, or is that like a frozen space canister? Is this something that they've had in stasis and is sort of a secret weapon that they've had on board?
It's hard to know because it looks like it's cut of stone. Like, that's just like the texture of it that you can see in the light. To me, looks like it could be made of stone and therefore alien.
But then the gooey sort of exterior of what he's pulling out harkens back to sort of the slime construction of what we've seen in the alien films and stories, where they use this, like especially in Aliens, when they would encase the humans against, and trap them
like
against
they would
the walls.
secrete some sort of substance like bees do to construct a hive. So obviously, I don't know what that path is made from. I'm going to guess maybe their ship, but it could be like an alien thing. Oh, so here's where I think we see the first example of the like the space jockey craft. But again, like you said, hanging over like Niagara Falls, it looks like much more alive than the planet in Alien ever was.
For sure, and it's easy to get caught up in that imagery and just totally miss out on, hey, something's arriving. And I would have to agree with you. I think this is the point when someone somewhere or something realizes that there are people poking around this temple.
I mean, it could be very well that we'll find out that the reason the planet is dead by the time Alien comes around is that maybe the space jockeys just straight up murder the planet as a last resort when the aliens get free or something. Who knows? So, I was wondering when I watched this, when I heard about this movie, if we'd ever actually see an alien or if it was going to be all like psychological horror. But I'm going to guess we see some sort of monsters because people are firing guns.
But they could be firing guns at other people who have somehow become infected or taken over by this sort of acid virus or whatever is happening to these people. And we'll see an example of that here a little bit later.
Yeah, like right here, this guy, he looks like he's in pain from something, but obviously something's happening under his skin. On his cheeks, you can see the flesh bubbling. His neck has those weird veins pulsing out of it. Like, something is going on with him, but, it's hard to say what.
And I think this is an example of what we saw at the beginning of the trailer. And this very may well, this is all out of sequence, but that may be the same person, the first sort of...
person that hits his face, yeah.
Yeah, and it may follow similar sort of storyline that we saw with John Hurt's character, where he was the one that suffered the first attack.
This is, I think, it looks like the space jockey's like bridge of their ship, basically, which is what I'm guessing. Obviously they're a space-faring race that is going crazy lengths through the galaxy, and you can kind of see in the background the little parts of the bridge. I think where that big orb is in the center is where the main pilot chair comes out of that we'll see shortly. So I think this is a spoiler, in my opinion. I think the movie's going to end, if I just had to guess, with the ship almost taking off and somehow it being stopped. And this is the ship that they find in the 1979.
Right.
It's crashed and wrecked and smashed into the ground, perhaps into the temple, which is why they can see so many floors down. This is what I think the monster is in the movie. That's what I determined watching it. This guy doesn't look human. It's kind of hard to get a good look at his face, but his face looks wrong.
He's humanoid, and he's obviously suffered some sort of injury to his face, which harkens back to the acid effects or whatever it might be that we've seen several times already. But yeah, so this is clearly not a xenomorph. It's not the Giger alien. This is a person that has a really bad attitude.
And here, obviously, one of the most iconic things from the original Alien movie, there was the giant chair that they find the space jockey in. Here it is, obviously it's moving, rising out of the ground, functioning. By the time you see it in the 1979 one, assuming it's the same one, it's frozen in place. It looks like it's been there for a long time, and there's like a dead body in it.
Right. Now, spoiler, there's a guy right there, right behind the S. He's bald. We don't know if he's from the ship. We don't know if he's a traditional Earth human or if he's a space jockey. Because he looks like he would be right around the same dimensions to sit in that chair. It also looks like it could be some sort of stasis unit directly in front of him over to the right, and then behind him over as well, just past him on the left. So this might be the pilot room. This also might be the room that you were talking about that kind of looks like that nav room from Mass Effect or something that we were just looking at with the digital effects. But very interesting. The only time that we've ever seen this before was what appeared to be hundreds, if not thousands of years after whatever happened here.
Yeah, the dead body of the space jockey in the 1979 one does make it look like they're a lot bigger than normal humans.
It does.
Much larger. I think this is, the reason I think that the ship crashed, obviously, is I think that standing vertical like that is the natural way it lands. And when they find it in the 1979 Alien, it's like on its belly, basically.
Well, yeah, so it's standing right here. And we don't know if necessarily this is right after the explosion, or perhaps this is the first touchdown.
Yeah.
But then in the next cut here, after the text, it looks like this is after the crash because we see smoke, we see an explosion.
That's true.
And then it's about to fall.
Yeah. But yeah, if you look at parts of this and you go back and watch the 1979 alien scene, you can see things like that pod on the right-hand side of the screen sticking off from it, and the way that the forks come off the front of the ship, that it's very clearly the same type of ship. So that's the Prometheus trailer. I think that it'll basically lead into the events of Alien, is my prediction. Though how this crew gets destroyed and they don't have any sort of record of it, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it gets wiped by the company. So what exactly does Prometheus mean? Let us know in the comments below, and for everything about Prometheus, keep it locked to IGN.com.